To Eye on Paulsboro, this program comes to you from the Paulsboro Marine Terminal, where today we will join the press conference with the Governor, the Senate President, and other distinguished members as the announcement is made that a tenant has been secured and the dock is going to be built, and this project, which has been long awaited, will come to life. Irma, I don't think there could be any better news.
You know who's watching over us, John, is Joe Balzano. I mean, what a great man. We did a show up there, and he was the driving force along with you and Steve and everybody else. And naysayers, I told you, Paulsboro, this was coming.
And this momentum couldn't come at a better time. You'll hear from the press conference what it means. So we're going to go from this to a commercial break to the press conference. Then we're going to visit with the mayor. Then we're going to go into the parade footage. Then we're going to come back and wrap the show up. And by the way, we don't have a complete parade because of weather conditions. We weren't able to shoot as we normally do. The parade is a little bit abbreviated because the weather got us, but we still had a great time. Stay with us. We're coming right back for the press conference.
Multi-policy discount. Paperless discount, paid in full discount, homeowners discount, safe driver discount, chipmunk family reunion, someone stole the nuts, squirrel jail, justice.
Countless discounts. Now that's progressive. Call or click today.
Thinking about a new appliance or an LCD TV? Don't think twice, think Weiss. Weiss True Value has a full line of LCD TVs plus a great variety of appliances. And of course, hardware items like True Test paints, Master Mechanic tools, electrical supplies, key duplicating, and Rug Doctor rentals. And for repairs on screens and windows, look no further. Weiss True Value, from making keys to selling appliances and LCD TVs. Don't think twice, think Weiss. 39 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
For everything, there's a season, and a time for everything under heaven. A time for sharing, a time for caring, a time for remembering, and a time for parting. When that time arrives, let Beth McBride Foley and Thomas D. Foley at the McBride Foley Funeral Home help you in your time of need. Offering a wide variety of funeral services from cremation to traditional, McBride Foley Funeral Home has been helping families with the loss of a loved one with over 50 years of combined service. McBride Foley Funeral Home, 228 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome. We're very honored today to have with us the Governor of the state of New Jersey, Christie, along with Senate President Sweeney, Senator Donald Norcross, the Mayor of Paulsboro, Mayor Hamilton, members of Council, Councilman Joe Kidd, Councilman Tucker. I thought I saw Councilman Giampola somewhere, and we welcome everyone. Freeholder Director Bob Damager, where are you at, Bob?
Right here, John.
Freeholder Heather Simmons, Freeholder Giuseppe Chilla. Got everybody. Thank you. And my name is John Bergicelli. I serve as the Assemblyman, Steve Sweeney's partner, not in the biblical sense, in a governmental sense, at the State House. Steve and I have been together on this project since its inception back in 1997, when at that time BP had decided that the tank farm was no longer viable because at that time there was too much capacity. Also at that time, we had benzene coming up in people's basements. And BP, being a very good corporate neighbor, addressed the issue environmentally and said to the Borough of Paulsboro, what can we do to help you? What can we do to help the town? What can we do? And through a long process, initially with BP underwriting a port feasibility study, the project started to take root. But a man's name has to be called today, and I think the Senate President will speak at length about it, but I also want to mention it. We would not be standing here, but not for a lot of people. But most importantly, one person, and that person is Joe Balzano. And the only sad part about today is that he physically isn't here. But you notice the clouds have parted enough for us to be baked by sun, and that's so Joe could also see this very moment, because he knew this was possible. And it was his credibility to let others to jump in. And the events took steps and steps and steps. And that brings us to today. I'm honored to be part of this, and let me offer just one other comment of historical perspective. When BP stepped in to help, Paulsboro was in a difficult spot. We were struggling. We had environmental issues involving benzene in basements, and they lent their muscle and they lent their strength for us to be able to convey a message of hope to this town and this region. Say, you know what, that tank farm you see, which is unsightly at the moment, is going to be a place of progress and of prosperity and jobs. And that let us change the conversation and gave people hope through the region. The economy was beginning to tank, and our thinking all along was by the time we got this ready, the economy would be back and it would find its place. And today, this town recently has come through. Conrail's mismanagement of a train, which fell off the tracks, which isn't supposed to happen, but did, and some other related issues. So it just seems like nature has come full cycle. Today, we changed the subject with good news for both this municipality and this region. Jobs and the prospect of a long future. And if you look at the river and the water, you can see the bottom. 30 years ago, you couldn't. This is an example that jobs and industry can fit with the environment so people have a chance to have a good job to raise their family. That being said, it is a great honor for me to recognize a friend of this town, the Senate President, Steve Sweeney. Steve?
This has been quite a journey, and John mentioned Joe Balzano, and that's where it really does start. They said, if you wanted to build a port in Paulsboro, I said, first off, John, what do we do with BP? I said, what do you think about a port? It's got water, why not? Well, they said it would never, ever happen because Joe Balzano would never support port development outside of Camden. What they didn't know about Joe Balzano was he loved the ports so much, he wants to see them flourish up and down the river because he understands the quality of the jobs that were impacted, the type of impact the port can have. And John mentioned BP. They are an example of what a good corporate neighbor is because they worked with us from the beginning. And I know BP representatives are here, and I want to thank you for what you've done for us because this wouldn't have been possible if they didn't partner with us. We had many meetings on how we were going to make this work. And I want to thank the governor especially because he didn't lose faith in us. And look, it's easy to lose faith at times, and it's easy to walk away from projects, but he didn't because he saw what we saw, which is a facility that's going to have thousands of jobs, employing people in this region, putting money in the economy. And for anybody that doesn't know, this site's 11 feet higher than when we started. If you look at this site, you'd have no idea. It looks nothing like what we started. But because of the vision of John Bersicelli and my county freeholders, we're at the beginning of a very, very long journey that's going to create thousands of jobs and absolutely help communities like Paulsboro that are hardworking. These are very hardworking people that are used to heavy industry, and these are the type of jobs we're used to, and we want to make sure we get hundreds of residents jobs here. Mr. Holtz, the Holtz are here. We're looking forward to that. We want to make sure as many Paulsboro residents get opportunities as possible. That's very important for the community. So for me personally, this is an enormous victory for the people of this state. And we get criticized at times because people say it's not worth it. Putting people to work at all times is worth it. Next, I'm going to call up my partner, somebody I grew up with my whole life, but someone that led the Southern New Jersey Labor Council for years because he recognized the greatest social program in the world, and I'm plagiarizing somebody, so no one can get me on that one, is a job, and a good paying job. So Donald, after you.
Thank you, Senate President. Vision. About 10 years ago, almost a decade ago, myself, Tommy Holt, Joe Balzano, and a number of others convened at the DRPA to look at our Commerce Highway, which is called the Delaware River. And believe it or not, after looking at all the assets and the projections, this region was short of ports. Now, for anybody who's lived through the last 6 years, you thought it never would come out of it. But the fact of the matter is, this is increasing capacity because we're going to be at capacity further north here, particularly at the Broadway terminal. Senate President Sweeney, Assemblyman Berticelli, and others understood that. It wasn't easy trying to make this decision because it's tough to say, I'm going to go build a brand new port, especially in light of what the last 6 years has brought us. But what has brought us is that vision. The vision that they saw, and certainly that the Holt Logistics understands, that this is about the future, Commerce Highway to Delaware River, and bringing more jobs to the area. And I can't tell you how much this is going to mean to the regional economy, not just to Paulsboro, extremely important to Paulsboro, but to this region, the southern half of New Jersey. And I'm looking forward to the day the first ship pulls in and we start bringing this port up to capacity, so we have to build a new one. Thank you. Bob, I think the only guy that has been in more ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings than Steve Sweeney is our good freeholder director, Bob Damager.
Actually, I think we're tied, Stephen. Anything below Trenton, I think we're tied with. Governor Christie, Senate President Sweeney, Senator Norcross, Assemblyman Bertucelli. I'm proud to stand here today on behalf of the 289,000 residents of Gloucester County and the 6,000 residents of Paulsboro to say thank you for your unwavering commitment to this project and what it means for the future of our region. This announcement today and the economic impact of placing the first tenant at this port is really the very beginning of the activity that will continue from this point forward. This port, the access road and bridge, every step that has been taken has always been about creating jobs and spurring economic growth. Some people have said that this project is moving slowly. Well, I want you to think back just 5 years ago when we stood here and looked at this very debris-ridden site that needed to be cleared. And as Senator Sweeney said, we now stand 11 feet above what it was at that time, at that first groundbreaking. The access road and the bridge to 295, what a clean slate where a wharf will be constructed and our first tenant will move in. That is progress. Gloucester County is a great place to live and to work. I'm looking forward to the day when we're back on the map as the leader in job creation in the nation, and this port will help us get back on that map. As many of you may or may not know, I grew up in this town, about a block and a half right over there, right near the football fields. I attended high school here, worked here, and to this day, I still consider Paulsboro my hometown. So today is a day of tremendous pride for Paulsboro and its people, and all of Gloucester County. And we're ready for this new tenant, and we look forward to working with many, many more. Thank you so much, Senator, Governor, Senator, Assemblyman. Thank you so much in the governing body of Paulsboro for their patience in this long process, and we couldn't be happier. And let's get some cargo moving out of this place. At this time, it gives me great, thank you. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Kevin Castagnola. Got it right?
Yeah, you got it.
You had to get the German to say it correctly.
Yeah, that's right. Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Castagnola, Executive Director of South Jersey Port Corporation, and on behalf of our Chairman, Dick Alimo, the South Jersey Port Corporation Board of Directors, I want to welcome you to the new Port of Paulsboro. The South Jersey Port and its partners, the Gloucester County Improvement Authority, the Borough of Paulsboro, have joined nearly 7 years to get to this major event, the Paulsboro Marine Terminal being built. We are in the final stretch towards commencing port operations. Behind me is the Delaware River, a highway to the international marketplace connecting the Port of Paulsboro to the world. The primary mission of South Jersey Port is to serve as an economic engine through the development and operations of international seaports in southern New Jersey, fostering international trade and enhancing South Jersey's intermodal transportation infrastructure, thus creating family-sustaining jobs. The new terminal will link Paulsboro to global markets, generating jobs and economic growth for Paulsboro and the region for many years to come. This project would have never reached this point without the leadership and support of our governor, Christie, without whom we would not have the necessary resources and guidance that will make the Port of Paulsboro into a world-class port. The Paulsboro Marine Terminal is the first new cargo terminal built in over 50 years, and it'll be a state-of-the-art facility with intermodal capacity linking highway, rail, and waterways. I also want to offer thanks to the Senate President, Steve Sweeney, Assemblyman Bertucelli, who understand and support the value of seaports. It was through their vision and their guidance, along with previously mentioned our former Executive Director, Joe Balzano, for the rebirth of this former tank farm. This will be a substantial marine terminal, which will be a source of jobs and economic development. We also want to thank the Gloucester County freeholders for their continued support for the project, as evidenced with the new direct access terminal roadway and bridge, which we all entered in today. And I also would like to recognize our host, the Borough of Paulsboro, Mayor Jeff Hamilton, and the entire council for their ongoing partnership and commitment to ensuring we reap the benefits for the residents of their community. Lastly, I want to recognize Holt Logistics. Tom Holt Jr., Leo Holt, Michael Holt. The three brothers have been a major influence to the overall success of the Delaware River Port Complex, succeeding their father for many years on this river, and they're presently partners of ours in Camden. We are excited to extend this partnership with the Holt family to the new Paulsboro terminal, and will continue to work jointly in the marketing the new terminal. Their extensive knowledge and experience in port operations and global marketing will be keys to the success of the Paulsboro Marine Terminal. We will continue to work with the Borough of Paulsboro, Gloucester County, and the state of New Jersey, and private companies such as Holt Logistics to bring prosperity to Paulsboro and produce vital economic benefits to the region. This is a great example of public-private partnerships that will continue to generate economic development and create family-sustaining jobs for this region, for the Borough of Paulsboro, for the state of New Jersey. Thank you, and I'd like to introduce the Senate President, Steve Sweeney.
This couldn't happen without a partnership. We talked about it earlier. And you'll hear about Democrats and Republicans fighting on a regular basis. More on the national level, the state level, although we hold our own at times, I think, from time to time. But jobs aren't Republican or Democrat. They're jobs. And we have a responsibility to put people to work. That's the number one job of government, improving the quality of life of the people that we represent. And I'm thrilled that the governor's here in Paulsboro. He's not a stranger to South Jersey, but he's here in Paulsboro to help fulfill a vision that John and I started, as John keeps saying, 17 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. But an empty oil field that's going to be a port and putting so many people to work gives you such a sense of fulfillment. But it couldn't happen if we didn't have a partnership here. So I want to thank the governor for his willingness not to walk away from Paulsboro, to invest in Paulsboro. Because investing in Paulsboro is investing in the people of the state of New Jersey. So, Governor, thank you.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank the Senate President for his kind introduction, and thank Assemblyman Berzicelli for his support on this project and lots of other things, and appreciate both the Freeholder Director and the Mayor being here to welcome us, and the other folks from South Jersey Port and all the other governmental agencies. It's great to be here, and I will tell you that this is one of those times in government where you look at how hard you've worked on a particular project, how long folks have worked on the project, and I'm the last one to speak because I was the last one to the party here. This has been going on for a very long time, and well before I arrived as governor. But Steve talks about our partnership, and what that means is that we each have priorities and issues that are important both to the particular regions of the state and to the state as a whole. And what we need to do is to work together to try to make sure that we accomplish as many of those projects and goals as we possibly can together. And in this instance, this plan for this terminal has been one that, as John and Steve said, has been one of long standing, but one that now we finally see coming to fruition. And I'm glad to be here to be part of it and to continue to provide the support of our administration to this project. As part of the agreement that we have here, Holt is putting a significant investment into this project as well, and I want to thank their family and their company for their willingness to invest here in Paulsboro, as they have in other places here in New Jersey. And we continue to try to have that type of partnership with the private sector, with business, to help to create jobs for folks in New Jersey. That'll be jobs that can be sustained over the long haul and can be supported by an active and vital economy that we are building and trying to make even stronger here in New Jersey. That type of public-private partnership is exactly what we're looking for, and what Senator Sweeney, Assemblyman Berzicelli, Freeholder Director Daminger all represent as the public side of this, along with me, and the private side from folks here at Holt. It's a major step forward for us in implementing a longer-term vision for economic growth here on the Delaware River and throughout the region here in South Jersey. So this is phase one of a new marine terminal. It's a project that's going to enhance economic opportunities for all the people here in South Jersey, and as a result will improve the quality of life for the people not only here in Paulsboro but throughout this region and our state. Every time something in our state happens that is going well, it's good for the entire state. And we'll have more of these announcements going forward to show the folks that we're working hard together to make sure that economic development occurs, and as a result, jobs happen for the people of this state. Lastly, you get folks all the time who say they want bipartisanship. They say they want us to work together. They say they're tired of some of the stuff that's happening in Washington, D.C., when you see folks who just are unwilling to work across the aisle and work with each other. Then there are times when we work with each other where they criticize us for that too. Because then when we work with each other, then, somehow there's something underhanded or difficult about that. The fact of the matter is that we've been elected to do jobs, and our job is to make sure that that happens each and every day. My commitment to the people of the state is going to be to continue to work with all of the elected officials throughout this state and with the private sector to try to continue to make economic growth and development a priority in this state, because that means jobs for our people and good evenings and days for our families. So we'll continue to work together to do that. I thank all the folks who are here today for helping to make this happen, and I look forward to even more announcements in this region as we move forward to show that the economic development can happen for each and every part of the state, because we have talented people in our state who are ready to work and want to work, and we're going to help put them to work with the private sector. Thank you all very much for being here today. I appreciate it.
That concludes our program. Thank you, everyone. The press conference was very significant at a lot of levels. With me now is the mayor of the borough of Paulsboro, Mayor Hamilton, who's had to handle a number of things since being seated mayor following me in. I mean, we've had train issues, water issues, busy things. But today is a better kind of day. So, Mayor, we need more days like this.
Yes, we need more days like this right here. A good announcement for the borough of Paulsboro at the port is coming in, and also we have a tenant.
And that means the potential for jobs.
Yes, talking to State President Steve Sweeney, he said the jobs will be there, and the young generation at this time is going to look forward to getting these jobs when they come available to this community.
And I was just mentioning before we started to roll, Jeff and I were together on council. This goes back to like 1997 when this idea was hatched. But through those years and the studies, eventually an agreement was drawn between the Borough of Paulsboro and South Jersey Port Corporation. Jeff was on council at the time. I was with him as mayor. But in that agreement calls for a hiring preference for Paulsboro residents in certain categories, and also the potential for apprentice programs. So I think that's key, Jeff.
That is the key right now, Assemblyman. But I'll tell you, as I was speaking to State Senate President Steve, he said he's going to work out all he can to get this here done for the residents of Paulsboro. So I believe in him, and I believe in that this community will get their turn to work.
It's a big deal for all of us. Another significant day, another milestone. We've done many shows from this site, and the next show we'll do is when the Holt brothers put up the first building. And we'll be right back.
Life is a journey that we travel with a lot of uncertainty. When your family is faced with change and you're in need of understanding, direction, honesty, and professionalism, we at the Landolfi Funeral Home have a tradition of assisting you with all of your needs in any way that we can. We offer many affordable funeral services. Please feel free to call us with any questions you may have or visit us at www.landolfifuneralhome.com.
Rizzo Family Chiropractic Center in Gibbstown offers pain relief with a difference. Using specific chiropractic adjustments, Rizzo Family Chiropractic will get to the root of your problem quickly. Bring your headaches, neck, back, joint, or limb pain to Dr. Karen Rizzo. If you have recurring pain, chiropractic can help. Rizzo Family Chiropractic can relieve many sources of pain without extended treatment and ongoing therapy. Give your family the gift of caring professional pain relief with a difference. Rizzo Family Chiropractic.
Multi-policy discount. Paperless discount. Paid in full discount. Homeowners discount. Safe driver discount. Chipmunk family reunion. Someone stole the nuts. Squirrel jail. Justice.
Countless discounts. Now that's progressive. Call or click today.
Thinking about a new appliance or an LCD TV? Don't think twice. Think Weiss. Weiss True Value has a full line of LCD TVs plus a great variety of appliances. And of course, hardware items like True Test paints, Master Mechanic tools, electrical supplies, key duplicating, and Rug Doctor rentals. And for repairs on screens and windows, look no further. Weiss True Value, from making keys to selling appliances and LCD TVs. Don't think twice. Think Weiss. 39 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
For everything, there's a season, and a time for everything under heaven. A time for sharing, a time for caring, a time for remembering, and a time for parting. When that time arrives, let Beth McBride Foley and Thomas D. Foley at the McBride Foley Funeral Home help you in your time of need. Offering a wide variety of funeral services from cremation to traditional, McBride Foley Funeral Home has been helping families with the loss of a loved one with over 50 years of combined service. McBride Foley Funeral Home, 228 West Broad Street, Paulsboro.
We have gathered to celebrate the groundbreaking for the construction of the new Library Media Center addition to our present library. It will provide the public with a much-needed expanded reach of books, electronics, DVDs, study areas, and children's programs. A wonderful new addition to serve our town. To arrive at this point, the library trustees, past and present, have quietly worked behind the scenes for many years, investing funds and reviewing plans. In our journey to build this addition, we have shared many frustrations, but through it all, we never lost sight of our goal. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the library project manager, Dr. Walter C. Quint, the interim superintendent of the Paulsboro schools. Without his tireless work and expertise, we would not be here today. He navigated us through the complex waters of local, county, state, and federal regulations and deadlines. To help set the scene and understand the frustrations that were involved in the process, I'm going to share this story with you. One day, Dr. Quint jokingly said, "I understand President Kennedy had a very difficult decision to make, whether to send a man to the moon or build a library addition in Paulsboro. He chose the easy one and sent a man to the moon."
School board members who are here today. This is our fourth library together. A decade or so ago, there weren't any libraries in the schools, and now we have three there. Bring one here. So, I think they were hoping that the influence of building libraries would cause me to be a better reader. I'm not sure if that's happening. As I thought about what to say today to paint the history of this, I started out, I thought maybe I could start once upon a time. That probably won't work. Then I thought in the beginning, probably too dramatic. So I settled on, I have a dream. And it's actually, we have a dream. And the dream, the vision began decades ago when the Board of Trustees of the Gill Memorial Library pictured an addition onto the Gill House. The addition would maintain the dignity of this historic building, but at the same time would be high-tech. This would be a building that was wireless environment. It would link our patrons to the world. The trustees also dreamed on a more practical level, an actual circulation desk and bathrooms downstairs. Paulsboro people are not satisfied to dream, however. They're doers who will work as hard as they have to in order to make visions into realities. For decades, the trustees improved the historic Gill Memorial Library. A parking lot, a porch, window treatments, landscaping, pointing, a roof, and lots of computers. But at the same time, they placed a few dollars in the cookie jar at the end of each year. Board member Francis Sabetta would come to every meeting and announce the best CD rates. And then ask permission to reinvest the money. The result? Nearly $1 million cash to build this addition. I think if the Board of Trustees would spend a few years in Washington, the deficit would be solved. At the same time, other visionaries were moving to create a gateway to historic Paulsboro. These folks pictured a restored Art Deco gas station just over the historic drawbridge entrance to the town. The gas station would be at one end of a creekfront park, but the centerpiece of the creekfront park would be the Paulsboro Historic Society, housed in the Paul House, the oldest dwelling, the oldest building in town, dating to 1796. The service station itself would be a tribute to the industrial heritage along with the bridge of this town. The Historic Society would be the center feature. It would allow us to display all of the antiques and artifacts that are now housed in the attic and Paulsboro room in a lovely manner. And I would be remiss in these remarks if I didn't mention Gary Stevenson, who emptied the Paul House when it was first purchased and preserved all of the antiques that we found there, and we really appreciate that, Gary. Thank you. Mayor and Council passed an ordinance approving the funding to purchase the service station and create the park. Under the leadership of then Mayor John Bersacelli and President of Council Gene Giampola, the municipality purchased the Paul House and secured a community development block grant to stabilize the dwelling, and that was done. Mayor Bersacelli became Assemblyman Bersacelli. He facilitated a New Jersey Department of Transportation grant, and most importantly, the USDA grant loan that would help bring this vision to a reality. He has been the quiet force behind this project and the person that we pay tribute to today for making this groundbreaking possible. At this point, however, we were all reminded just how historic Paulsboro is. 1,000 years ago, Native Americans arrived on this site and established a hunting and fishing camp not far from where we stand, actually on the back lawn of the Paul House. If that wasn't enough, that their village lies undisturbed, untouched for 1,000 years, the British, in an attempt to capture Fort Billingsport, sent 1,500 British Marines through this site in 1777. This is truly a historic site. When we unearthed the village, our plans had to change. We needed to move the expansion back to the Gill Library. The Paul House would be the Historic Society. As usual, we had talent and perseverance on our side. State USDA Director Howard Henderson. Howard, please stand if you're recognized. And Senior Area Specialist Steve Brezhnai. Steve, back there. And for today, Steve, more importantly, a Paulsboro High School graduate. These two gentlemen went above and beyond to save this project. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. They could have, as they say, pulled the plug on this many times. We appreciate you trusting us and have faith in us. Martin Kimmel. Martin, would you please stand? And Matt McQuaid. Kimmel Regret Architects designed this building 3 times on 2 different sites. And despite they designed the building 3 times, here, there, and then back here, Martin changed his fees almost not at all. Martin, we appreciate what your company has done for us. Thank you. Then there was another hurdle, which became a small speed bump. Where would we operate the Gill Memorial Library while construction was underway for a year? Until our new building was built, we needed a place for people to be served, our patrons to be served. The Paulsboro Board of Education, under the leadership of Tom Ridinger. Tom, please stand to be recognized. Opened the doors to Paulsboro High School Library to the community. PHS closes at 3 o'clock and moments later reopens as the Gill Memorial Library. There has been seamless service to our clients. And we thank all of the board members for allowing me the flexibility to work on this project. And a special thanks to my secretary, Lynn, would you stand? Who allows me to pretend to actually run the schools on a day-to-day basis. And for doing all of the work that I volunteered for. Lynn has been just a rock through this, helping with everything. So just as success was at hand, just our luck, the economy improved. The cost of construction would be much higher than we anticipated. However, Mayor and Council came forward again. Mayor and Council, under the leadership of Mayor Jeff Hamilton. Jeff, please stand. And Council President John Giovanetti agreed to bond the extra money needed to make this project a reality. At the same time, however, the Board of Trustees, under the leadership of Rita Kelly and Vice President Virginia Scott, and Virginia, would you stand, please? Not only found a way to make an extra $175,000 contribution to the project, but also found a way to repay the money to the borough that they had borrowed on our behalf. And finally, I have to mention several people in this history who are responsible for keeping the project on track, dealing with the mountains of paperwork, and figuring out how to operate a library while the visionaries and the dreamers did their magic. Library Director Violet Valentine. Violet has been a rock who just keeps on serving patrons in the middle of chaos and constant change. Vi, thank you. Former Borough Administrator John Salvatore and current Borough Administrator Leanne Ruggieri. They always seem to know what to do, how to account for everything, and how to wade through the mountain of paperwork, despite the fact that we would change, and then change back, and then change back again. So we owe them. So there you have it. Native Americans, British Marines, historic buildings, industrial heritage, doers and visionaries, and now a new state-of-the-art library. This is a historic project, but more importantly, it's one more example of the pluck of the people of Paulsboro. Thank you very much. But I'm going to ask Howard Henderson of USDA if he would go first. Mayor Hamill, we're going to ask you if you would go last. Thank you. Howard.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Quint. Very, very well done. I'd just like to introduce myself very quickly. I'm Howard Henderson. I'm the State Director for USDA Rural Development here in New Jersey. And thanks for the warm welcome. Some of you know that I grew up in a neighboring town, Woodbury, just down the road a little bit. Thank you very much. And some of you may also know that I, as well as my two brothers, wrestled back in the late 60s and early 70s, including some of the times when the Hamiltons wrestled and some of the others. And I really appreciate the warm welcome. Towns like Paulsboro really have a special meaning to me and to our agency. When you rest, and the coach is here. When you wrestle, it takes a certain amount of grit and determination and tenacity and a never say quit attitude. And the coach knows that far better than I. When it comes to helping a town like Paulsboro, you know, maybe I didn't feel this way when I wrestled at Woodbury years ago about Paulsboro, but Paulsboro is a town that really needs help. You guys do great things on your own, but sometimes you need a little bit extra. And that's how I feel about Paulsboro. As Dr. Quinn said, yeah, there were many opportunities for USDA to give up on Paulsboro. Many opportunities. We were pushed pretty hard because this is recovery bill money. If those that you remember the Recovery Bill Act from 2009, There was a lot of criticism about this program, about whether it was effective, whether it was worthwhile. Well, this funding that we provided, the $300,000 grant and the $90,000 loan, is recovery bill money. And boy, this is a real tribute to how well that money can be used. So we weren't about to give up the $300,000 grant. And Paul, we weren't about to quit on this. There was no way we were quitting on this project. So we bore with it, and Steve was the driving force here, and we wouldn't let it go. So that's kind of where we're at. Many of you wonder what on earth does USDA have to do with funding libraries? Well, my agency is a real unique agency in that we provide economic development assistance to rural communities. And yes, Paulsboro is considered a rural community by our definition. What we do is we provide housing and economic development assistance to those rural communities. And in Paulsboro's case, we provided funding for the library, but many of you may also remember that we also provided most of the funding for the water treatment plant and the water towers here in town. Plus, we've done many other projects over the years. So we've been very supportive of the efforts of Mayor Hamilton and Assemblyman Bersacelli over the years. We want to make this town work better, and it's working well now, but we can make it work better. So that's USDA is about providing funding to help communities. This is going to serve as a community center. In addition to all the other things that Dr. Quinn said, this is going to be a centerpiece of the community. And that's what we want to build in our agency, is we want to help build communities. And that's why USDA is here. So it really is an honor to be here. There's a couple of people that I need to thank, and Steve Berezna has already been thanked many times, but Steve is our star. He's our MVP here in this project for USDA. Steve made this happen, and without his drive and never say quit, we may have lost this project. Cindy O'Grady is back there. Cindy, oftentimes Dr. Quinn, she tells me what my calendar is for the day and advises me what my decisions ought to be.
I understand.
So Cindy's here. But our community programs director, who couldn't be here today, Ken Drews, was also very instrumental in keeping this project alive. On the congressional front, our funding, of course, gets provided by Congress, and we've had tremendous support from the senators, both Senator Booker and Senator Menendez, over the years, and this has been extremely beneficial. And even while Congressman Andrews was here, Congressman Andrews has always been very supportive of the USDA programs, and he was very supportive of this program, of this project. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Hopefully we can get this thing done. I think it's supposed to start raining by 1 o'clock, I think. So thanks very much and best of luck.
We have the Assistant Director of the State Library who'd like to join us.
I'm Peggy Cadigan. I hope I don't get booed. I grew up in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. But I think we have something in common. And actually, I was thinking when you were speaking about the Lenape settlement here, Point Pleasant Beach was first used as a vacation home by the Lenape Indians. Wow. So maybe your Indians traveled across throughout my hometown. So I'm bringing regards from Mary Chute, our New Jersey State Librarian, who's sorry she can't be with us, but we're very honored to be included. I'm really lucky because I visited Violet at the library about a year ago, and I remember thinking, holy mackerel, she's doing an awful lot in a really small space, and she had high hopes that this expansion was going to happen. And I know that you know better than I the interesting history of this building. It's been a general store, doctor's office, a home, and I find that interesting because libraries today, just like this home had multi-purposes, today's libraries have multiple purposes. I can certainly visualize this new space filled with children, story time, summer reading programs, and I can see your community residents learning how to use email, write a resume, apply for a job. Maybe they're even going to use the databases the state library provides to decide whether to open a new business here in Paulsboro. But beyond these basic services, many of our libraries are serving as places after a disaster, as I certainly experienced in Point Pleasant Beach after Hurricane Sandy, and I know you had a derailment here in Paulsboro, and the library was instrumental in providing information about that. Libraries now have 3D printers, they have maker spaces, they're doing all sorts of things. A library in Arizona hires nurses and social service workers on staff. Good libraries reflect the community they serve. The Gill Memorial Library already does this, as you know better than I do, especially with its incredible collection of historic artifacts and genealogical materials, all related to Paulsboro's rich history. And I know this library will grow and change in response to the community's needs. Most of all, I really want to commend from the bottom of my heart Violet, the Board of Trustees, for their good stewardship and saving money on their budget, and I really want to thank the Mayor and Council because, believe me, I see challenges to libraries all over the state where they're closing doors and cutting staff. And the fact that your Mayor and Council are so strongly behind you it just really does my heart good. So congratulations, and thanks for having me here.
Martin. You really should.
My words are really words of congratulations. I'm asked a lot. I have a fun profession. When I was younger in my career, like what's so great about being an architect? And I was like, well, at the end of the day, you get to walk around in your own ideas, which is quite a rush. That's why people go into it. Over time, though, we've focused our practice on helping almost exclusively mission-driven organizations like the Paulsboro Library, who are built on volunteer work, who are built on dreamers, as Walt stated, who have dreamt for a long time before we ever get involved. And so when we come to the table, we take it as a sort of sacred responsibility to help those folks realize their dream in a special way. And in this particular project, that's probably been one of the longest, most challenging realizations, and thus most rewarding. To get to know the folks here in the community, to help face those struggles, to be creative about how to get out of a jam that you really never deserve to be in anyway. And so Matt and I and everybody at the firm really feel very close, and we are very proud of this community, and we are very happy for you, and we congratulate you, and we look forward to seeing it through to the finish with diligence and protecting your money, and we look forward to a ribbon cutting and walking around in your dreams, which we help translate in the very near future. So I thank you for the opportunity and the honor of working with you all.
I just want to thank you for coming out, one, and can we put our hands together to give Dr. Quinn, who's been most of you may not know, every time I thought about it, I had to call Dr. Quinn, and most of the time he was on vacation. So he would call us back and tell us what was going on, which was a good thing, and gave us an update all the time on what was going on here at the library. But I must say that this couldn't have been done just by Dr. Quinn. It takes a team, and the team that I feel that did a good job. One, I must say, is Howard Henderson, because if Howard took that money back, that $300,000, we were going to go back and wrestle him. And so I'd like to thank you very much for that. And the other teams that we have right here, I want to start from Howard, who's on the federal level, and then we also want to thank the state level, the county level, and most of all, our local officials who we have right here today. Thank you very much, and once again, it takes a team in order to get things done here in the borough of Paulsboro.
To introduce Board Member, Vice President Virginia Scott, to do the honors. Virginia.
But as a little girl, I grew up in a house with my father. If we said we had anything to do, he'd say, write for people. And so I grew up reading books and writing things. If you see me any place, I have a pen in my hand and I'm always writing because we grew up that way. But today, this is a real special day.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Okay.
4, 5, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3.
Life is a journey that we travel with a lot of uncertainty. When your family is faced with change and you're in need of understanding, direction, honesty, and professionalism, we at the Landolfi Funeral Home have a tradition of assisting you with all of your needs in any way that we can. We offer many affordable funeral services. Please feel free to call us with any questions you may have or visit us at www.landolfifuneralhome.com.
Rizzo Family Chiropractic Center in Gibbstown offers pain relief with a difference. Using specific chiropractic adjustments, Rizzo Family Chiropractic will get to the root of your problem quickly. Bring your headaches, neck, back, joint, or limb pain to Dr. Karen Rizzo. If you have recurring pain, chiropractic can help. Rizzo Family Chiropractic can relieve many sources of pain without extended treatment and ongoing therapy. Give your family the gift of caring professional pain relief with a difference. Rizzo Family Chiropractic.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed both the press conference and the parade footage. And we normally close with community notes, but actually at the last show of the season we don't do community notes. So this is going to take a little moment to do something special. Hopefully many of you in last Sunday's Inquirer or after the days after that got to see the beautiful story that Angelo did on Irma Stevenson. And if you didn't, go online and find it because it is a great read. It's about a very special, wonderful person and her heart and soul and her extended family, which is this town. It's a great story and it just reads real well. But most importantly, Irma Stevenson graduated from Paulsboro High School with this year's graduating class. Now this high school's been graduating kids probably since 1920, 1916 it opened, so in that range was the first graduating class. Irma, for circumstances of its day, didn't quite get to finish, but actually did finish, but didn't quite get to finish. And Dr. Quint knew there was unfinished business. So Irma Stevenson marched with this year's graduating class at Paulsboro High School to a standing ovation. And that is a wonderful, wonderful gesture from that great institution which she holds so dearly. Irma, as we close this season show, you're a graduate.
I'm a graduate. Class of 1957 was 57 years later. And you know what? It was like the man from La Mancha. The impossible dream did come true. But it was for my Paulsboro people. And I love them. And go Big Red and God bless America. John.
Well, Irma, you have been very, very special to many, to many people. Myself included. This program wouldn't be continuing if it weren't for her and for Fred, and we hope you enjoyed this one. So we leave you now from the port. We close the season out after an abbreviated parade, but a great day of an announcement at the port. I'm standing here with Paulsboro High School graduate Irma Stevenson. Irma?
Go Big Red.
Until next time.